The following live broadcast is rated ESV PG. Parental guidance is suggested. Life can be so hard sometimes. Coming up on this episode, we're going to talk about something that has affected a lot of people in their life. Sometimes they don't even know it. Whether you got blonde hair like me, you're a big person, maybe you're just a woman and people hate her, whether you're black, white, or anything, one of the things that has impacted everybody in their life is bullying. And this has had some negative impacts on our lives, but also some positive impacts once we learn exactly what was going on. So we're going to talk about that and more. We encourage you, of course, to join us in the chat panel. Say anything you want to say. Talk to us. Ask us any questions. We will absolutely respond to you live. You ready to do this, Elena?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Love is everywhere. Love is everywhere. Gather together, always together.
What do you do when you're going through school and you regret having to go every single day, and when you leave, you feel worse a lot of times each individual day after that? How can it be so hard for some people? Some people are just born a certain way, and whether they're smart, whether they wear glasses, doesn't matter the reason, they can constantly be bullied. Sometimes something as insignificant as a facial feature. Sometimes something as big as just the color of their skin. And that stuff can have some traumatic impacts on people. But what happens when you find out later in life that you might have been the bully? What happens when you realize the kind of torture you may have put others through? Do you learn from that? Do you get stronger? Do you get better? Well, we're going to discuss that tonight with our panel, because tonight's topic is, of course, the bully impact. Were you ever bullied? Are you still? Has it affected your life? And were you actually the bully? We're going to discuss that in great deal. Don't forget, while you're here, to like, share, subscribe, and follow Your Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and one of the other ones, I think I forgot, LinkedIn. I think that's it. Okay, so, and Twitter. Twitter is the other one. All right, so definitely do that. Don't forget, you can call in live during the show by going to earshouldervoice.com/join, and you can be a guest panelist as well, joining by audio or video. Chat, ask us anything in the comment section, and we will respond live to you. With that, let's get started with our panel. Our first panelist, our main panelist, our only panelist tonight coming in, we have the lovely, it's our very first show ever. Please welcome Elena.
Hello.
Hi, Elena. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
I'm very good. I'm glad you're here. It's
Me
your very
too.
first show. Welcome to Your Shoulder Voice on that. I know you've seen some of the shows in the past, but it's your first
Yeah.
time being a panelist, and we're really glad to have you on that. As we were talking earlier, tonight's topic is, of course, the bully impact. Now, we kind of have something in common, I think, from when we were talking before the show, that we both have been the bullyee and the bullier
hmm
in that sense, and a lot of times we didn't even know it. What was your experience like with that?
I mean, the biggest thing that comes to mind with like being, I mean, on either side of it is just like, there was one specific time, apparently this girl and I had gotten into something in like middle school, brushed it off, forgot it ever happened. Like 3 years later, she reaches out to me and she's like, "Hey, I'm so sorry about like that one time we were like yelling at each other, blah, blah, blah." I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I was just like, I brushed it off like nothing happened. And I think, like I was saying earlier, like because I grew up with siblings. When you have siblings, you just make fun of each other all the time. So you
Well,
don't think about it when it happens with other people.
I think that might partly be it too, is the sibling factor, because I guess siblings are supposed to bully each other.
Right.
I mean, so when it happens at school, it almost seems like a way of life
Right.
for them.
Which it shouldn't, but it does.
I mean, well, my brother used to bully me. My brother's 6 years older than me, and he would, yeah, he was a badass motherfucker when it came to picking on his little brother sometimes. But what he
Oh
didn't
yeah.
expect is his little brother grew up, and his little brother got taller and bigger and
hmm
stronger. It was a little bit of a different situation at that point.
One of the things my mom always said, because my older sister's 4 years older than me, And like I always say, she took it past bullying. Like she wanted me dead. She wanted to murder me most of the time, just like with physical violence. And my mom always says the best day of her life was the day that I became the same size as her. She no longer had to defend me
See, I
on
was
my
I,
own.
I was definitely, a bigger person than my mom, especially when I grew up, and I was still scared shitless of that woman.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I couldn't do it. My mom would put me in my place in a heartbeat. Never
No,
do
for
that. But
sure.
so when did it start for you being bullied, or were you the bullier? Like when it first started, which one were you?
I want to say I was the bully before I was bullied.
You were the
Just
bully.
because, like, yeah, like in high school and even in middle school and stuff, I was always part of like the popular crowd.
Mm.
Like, that's just what my friend group was. So it just went back and forth between all of us, like picking on kids that were just different than us.
And that's where it came from for me, and that's where I realized I was the bully. I think a lot of people don't realize they are the bullies. I
Hmm.
don't think they understand exactly what they're doing. But especially when you're like, you start out in elementary school and you see somebody different. On our racism show, we talked about briefly, we had a black girl in our school. We didn't have a lot of black people in our school. And I was a little
Yeah.
kid, kindergarten, first grade. And I wasn't the nicest because I didn't know any better and somebody different. So I'm a fat guy and I still picked on fat kids.
Right.
Like, I'm like, there was nothing that said, hey, this is what it feels like when I was first there. But I realized a lot of times that I was probably being bullied in the process.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times the reactions that people have are due to the fact that they keep getting bullied back and forth.
Right.
Now, you were the bullier. Now, when did that start for you? Was it like elementary or junior high?
Probably around then, just because, like, that's when I started making all of my friends that were like the popular kids, quote unquote. So there's just like this huge group of us that were all the same. Like, we all had similar parents. Our parents were all still married. We were all white. We were all like, none of us were poor.
So if you weren't part of basically the type of the clique, you were kind of one of your victims.
Yeah, you were kind of on the outside.
And you definitely know it. Uh, I
Yeah.
I kind of became the weird kid. I turned the bullying into reactions. I worshiped Satan for a period.
Oh, okay.
I was like mental, I was an attention seeker, but I didn't always want that kind of attention.
Right.
But it got people to focus on me, and then it became as I grew up into junior high and high school that I just wanted to entertain people because I realized with all the stuff I was doing when I was younger that I was making them laugh. They were
Right.
paying attention to me, but they were laughing, and I started to really like it. And then later, I learned the difference in laughing with me and
And
laughing at
at
me.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I think I have a friend. He's been on here, Vince, who was in. He went to school with me. He's been on the show before, and when I first got in contact with him, he was apologizing for like the way he was in school with me, and
Hmm.
I thought we were friends. Like I didn't know that I was being bullied by this person.
Hmm.
And he wasn't really like a full fledged bully. He just really wasn't really nice
Yeah.
in that sense. Now, when you started getting bullied, what was that like? When did that start?
So that for me was more like at the end of high school, like junior, senior year. I stopped taking out with a lot of my good friends just because like I was on the dance team and I had quit the dance team because I now had a job. So I just didn't have enough time for both. And I made a whole new group of friends that were like so awesome. And they happened to be the kids that I used to bully.
Now, did you continue to converse with your old friends, or did you kind of leave them behind to go with the new set?
A few of them, but we definitely didn't talk or hang out as much as we used to. Just because like most of them were on the dance team with me and we just like had less in common. Like now I think I only talked to two of them.
Oh wow, okay. So, so you pretty much chose the new group of friends. Now, what made you want this group of friends? What was different about them?
They were so nice. They were like so accepting. Like
And
we
you
would
weren't
go
used
out.
to being around people that were nice to each other.
No, not at all.
You were used to, hey, you don't fit in with us, we're gone. Now,
Yeah.
were you part of like that popular clique? Was it like the cheerleader type popular clique, football players, all that?
Kind of. I mean, I went to a pretty small school, so everyone definitely knew everyone. But it was just like the group I hung out with at the first half of high school were like the dance girls. So I had like 30 best friends that all didn't really want to be your friend unless you were just like them.
Well, so then you switch. Now, at what point, because you said for a while you didn't even notice the difference in what you had been doing, at what point did you start to go, wait a minute now,
It's once I
I'm,
started hanging out with people that were nice to me.
and you realize how you were. Now, did you ever make amends to those people?
Oh, of course.
You did, so the ones you did. See, I haven't to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Because I still haven't always realized what I did. I would bullied some girls in there, basically. I bullied some boys in there. I bullied everybody I could. I always just, I was a very sad child, honestly, with it, because I've always had like the weight problem, and I'm fucking smart as hell. And I got to the point that, I know it's egotistical too, but, but over time I tried to actually hide that aspect of me, and I still do it to this day. I don't let people know all the capabilities I have.
Right.
I kind of keep it, because it did have an impact where I was afraid to be that person, that I'm not going to have friends if I do that.
Right.
Was there anything particular in your life that did that you did during the bullying that caused you to be the bully?
I think it was just like, so I mentioned my older sister, so I'm the middle child. I have a little sister too. And I have like classic middle child syndrome.
Okay.
I feel like looking back in my childhood, I was never neglected. Like that's a very strong word to put on it, but I felt like I needed to do something to get attention from my parents.
Okay.
So if I was picking on kids at school and it got to the point where like someone had to call my mom about it, like, well, at least she's talking to me today.
See, I totally respect that 100%. Because I hated when they had to call my mom, because like my mom wouldn't put up with no shit, but yet all the way up to the point where she was walking through that door, that's what I wanted.
Right.
Because I could get out of school, and
Oh
not
yeah.
because I didn't want to go to school, because I just wasn't happy.
Right.
You know,
No, and I get that.
yeah. And she would come in, and then I was terrified, because that woman you didn't mess with. My mom was the best, though. Because my mom knew the way I was, and she knew that I did a lot of things for attention and react, but a lot of them were reactionary. So, like, if I would go to the principal's office, my mom would come in, principal would be like, you know what he did? He threw the desk at the teacher, he elbowed the substitute teacher, and said he's going to beat him up in the parking lot, which I did. This is like fourth grade and stuff. Like, oh, I was a fucking tear. My mom, no matter what, the first thing she'd always do, go, well, what'd you do to him? Because I know him. He's got a temper and he's an asshole. But what did you do to him? Because
But
it
what
doesn't
happened?
just, yeah, it doesn't just fly off for no apparent reason on there. Jan's here. Jan says she was bullied a lot because she wasn't part of the clique. Now, Jan, were you part of any clique? Did you have any group of friends that you were part of? And was that group of friends constantly bullied or not? Just curious on there. But Jan's got a point too. And like you said, when you started hanging out with a different group of people, suddenly you were bullied as well.
Right.
And were your friends that you were now hanging out with, were they guilty of the same thing? Were they, or not guilty, but were they experiencing the same thing? Were they bullied as well? Or was it mostly you because you left your group?
It was all of us, I feel like, because we were all very different people. None of us had like a ton in common, but we were all just like, we were nice to each other. Like that's what made us friends. We didn't have to have a ton in common. So,
Well, the best friend groups, often you have somebody that fits every category.
right.
They don't have everything in common. Okay, so you just Jan says she wasn't part of another clique or anything. Now I'm going to ask Elena the same thing, and also to you, Jan. How did you overcome it? What did you do? Because obviously bullying can put people in a very depressive state, and even if you have your friends around, it's really hard to get through. It makes you not want to go to school, so or wherever you happen to be. What did you do to get through that, Elena?
Um, well, like I said, since most of it was just during high school, it was just like, well, instead of like going to the lunchroom today, I'll just eat lunch in my teacher's room with all of my new friends. And I won't have to deal with them. Like I won't even have to see them today.
But doesn't that cause more bullying because you're
It
eating it?
it does, but at the same time it didn't because I wasn't around it, so I didn't care that it was happening.
Okay, I can understand that. I guess
It's like
you're
talk
okay with
behind
it.
my back, whatever. I don't want to hear it to my face because then I'm upset that I know about it. If I don't know what's happening, do whatever you want.
All right, we have a special call and guest coming on right now. Please welcome Bill. Bill, how's it going? Bill. I don't know if Bill hears us.
Hello, can you hear
Hi,
me?
Bill. I can hear you now. How you doing,
Hello.
Bill? Glad to have you back on here, Bill. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm hanging in there.
That's definitely good.
I'm
So
doing fine. Can you hear me?
we can hear you. If you can hear us, we can hear you. A little choppy,
Oh,
that's
okay,
okay.
good.
We'll still listen to you. Okay, so Bill, you know, the topic today is all about bullying and stuff, and you've called in. What is your experience with bullying? Were you the bully, or were you bullied?
I was bullied.
You were
It
bullied.
started in 7th grade and went on up. Yes, I was bullied. Basically, I had a facial deformity, all right?
Okay.
An enlarged mandible, okay? So it kind of made me different from some of the other kids. Even, I mean, it became more pronounced as I got out of elementary school. And I had to deal with it. You know, I got laughed at, made fun of, bullied, and it stuck with me all the way through high school. And then I had jaw surgery. And I think one of the things that really threw me for a loop was I didn't realize what the problem was until I went into Kmart's one day and they had those three-way mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
and it hit me like a bullet. I felt bad about myself. I felt terrible.
So yours, we
And
mentioned at the start of the show.
I ended up getting jaw surgery.
There's a small delay with us. We mentioned at the start of the show that sometimes it's something as simple as a face deformity or something like that, something that isn't natural that kids make fun of. Now, how old were you when that happened? When you originally had the jaw surgery?
Oh, I just got out of high school. It wasn't even about maybe not even a year. It was right after I got out of high school. And then I started college. And I had, I was expecting things to be the same, in college, but it was different because I was dealing with more mature people and they didn't know me from Adam. Okay. So it was
Okay.
like starting anew.
I got. So you did it
And
afterwards.
I ran into some people. Yeah. I hardly showed up to school. I mean, one time I had track spikes put in my back. I was sitting on the bus. I was on the track team. I was pretty fast. At that time I could do a quarter mile under a minute, about 54
Oh.
seconds.
I
And
think when
and
you are bullied, it's your job to become fast. Like it's one of the things you learn to do because it's an outrun.
yeah.
Really quick before we continue on that, Jan says there was no overcoming it. The cool girls used to gang up on me and on the way home from school in 6th grade, swinging their purses, hitting me in the back of the head, etc. And the bullying can get so severe and so cruel. Did it come to a point that you just didn't go to school? A lot of people are talking, like a lot of people skipped school. A lot of them did it because cool kids did it, or they just didn't want to go for whatever reason. But bullying can make you not go to school for much more traumatic reasons. That dog gets bullied all the time by the other one, by the way. So the dog understands too. He just wants to be on the panel. So, Jan, you said there was no overcoming it. What kind of impact did it have on you over the years? How long did it take you to kind of move on? And what was the reason that you think you were bullied? And while you answer that, I want to go back to Bill. You said it started around 7th grade, and you had the jaw surgery to fix the problem, to make it better. Was there any signs in elementary school that
Yes.
did? So, what was it in elementary school? How did it start there?
Yeah. Elementary school kids did, but I didn't. It wasn't as pronounced. But I was wondering why they were laughing at my smile. All right, they made a big deal out of it whenever I smiled, and they tried to imitate me. And then again, I was like in the dark. I didn't know what the deal was, and I got called names like Chin. Um, One kid called me Jew Jaws, and
Jew Jaws. Wow.
I mean, like I say, yeah, it clung with me. I had to see a psychologist. All right, in school because I got in so many fights. Most of my fights were with upperclassmen trying to do something stupid like try to shove my head in the toilet or something like that. I got beat up a few times, you know, and
For no other
I
reason.
remember I got called into the principal's office one time because I got
Go
well,
ahead.
they said I was weird. Basically, I was weird. I just didn't fit in. You know, tried, but I didn't. I had very few friends, hardly showed up to school, which did have an effect on my grades. I had to make up all my math in college. I had a seventh grade math level when I got out of high school. So, I
Okay.
had to, I really had to reinvent myself.
So there was a couple things you had going for you. People saw you as a lack of intelligence, or going against you. People saw you as the lack of intelligence, as well as the physical deformity you had. And it took you to get out of high school. Now, was your decision? Did you said you changed that feature, and people change features sometimes for the right reasons, for the wrong reasons. Was your feature changed because of the bullying, or was it something you wanted to do anyway?
Um, I, went to a dentist, all right, because I wanted to get my teeth straightened. And he told me that anything he could do wouldn't help me. And he gave me a referral, and I end up going. Before I knew it, I ended up going to Maxofacial and Sinai Hospital. And I mean, I got confronted. I mean, I had doctors come in and examine me, and one doctor said, "Oh, he's got a mandible so big you can have dinner on it." You know how that made me feel
Well,
hearing that? But what they were doing was trying to convince me that I needed the surgery. All right, they told me you need this surgery, and I went through with it. And then they had a doctor fly in from New York to do my surgery. And when I got done with the surgery, I had to show up with a suit and tie, and I was in front of a camera, and they had these other doctors around me asking me questions.
okay.
And
So
I felt like a celebrity at first. So
you
somewhere
went
there's a
you went
film of
from
me
from
floating
the
around.
tragic bullied kid to the star.
Yeah, basically,
So
center of
Elena,
attraction.
so Elena, honesty when you were the bully, and as well as when I kind of was too. How would you have treated Bill?
Um, Probably really poorly at the time, at that
I would have
age.
too. I would have too, and I think that's. Would you have understood what you were doing and the kind of impact it had during those moments?
During the moment, absolutely not. I
You were
wouldn't have
just
done it if I knew the impact during the moment.
light ribbing fun. That's what I mean. That's all we often see it as. We don't see the damage we'd be causing. And honestly, Bill, I would have probably helped make your life hell. I would have been one of those
Yeah,
people that did it too because it was something different, something I wasn't used to, and unique. Gabe, who's one of our regular panelists on here, he has an injury that affected his face too. And even when we were first kids, I tend to, make fun of little things here and there. We're best friends now, but
Hmm.
you don't realize how much it hurts and how much it does. So, Jan says she chose to go to school because there wasn't a choice. Sexual abuse at home or getting picked on at school. School was safer. Now that's a whole nother story in itself, right there. We've
Hmm.
talked briefly with you. I know you commented a bit on the sexual abuse show. Actually, I think you were a panelist on that one as well when we were discussing it. And you chose to go to school, so it was safer there. But when did it stop for both of, for any for I already asked you, Elena, but for Bill and Jen. Bill, you said when you had the surgery it stopped.
Yes.
But the question is, how long did you continue to feel like less of a person after the surgery?
Um, I think within the first year of college, you know, I started realizing that, people were different. They were more mature. Some of them weren't, but they, like, again, they didn't know me from Adam. I went in there, did my work, and left. But I studied with some of them. I even played guitar on campus. Um, but the strangest thing that happened to me was one. I had a dude that used to really pick on me a lot. In fact, he elbowed me in the back in the showers, knocked me right down because I beat him in a race in track. All right. He told me he was going to get me if I won, and I did in spite. And well, I saw him walking down the street, I thought, oh, here we go. I'm building myself up for having to defend myself. And he actually come up and shook my hand. And he said, you took a lot of crap from me and other people. He says, I just wanted to let you know if anybody ever bothers you, you just let me know. And I was just like stunned, you know. I was really stunned. And I never went to a class reunion till about a couple years ago. Never went to one because I had that kind of resentment. And I did go to one, and people didn't even know me. I mean, they didn't know who I was. Now I hear people say, "Well, that's Bill. That's Bill," and
Hmm.
but they didn't know me because, well, I got grayer hair and a little less of it, and plus I had the surgery, you know. So it took a good year for me, and then even then I was seeing a psychologist, you
Well,
know.
you said, I mean, obviously it affected you further in your life because, like as you said, even your class reunion, it was different. You didn't even want to go to those. Jan also says, the bullying stopped somewhat in high school, other than having her towel being ripped off by the same girls that bullied her continuously. Now, same question to you, Jan. Obviously, this stuff, when you're bullied, it has an impact on your life all the way through your life. And no matter how you turn out, I think that that is always in the back of our minds. Now, do you think, Elena, primarily because you are on both sides of it, do you think you're actually a better person having experienced both sides?
I kind of want to say yeah, because after I got bullied and was on the other side of it, I realized what that I was such a part of the problem, which I don't think I would have realized not had going through the same thing.
Do you work at all to get those thoughts out to other people when you see it happening or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was in the restaurant industry for a while, and bullying happens in there all of the time. It's just a
So,
bunch of people trying to do the same thing, and then people become friends and others don't, and it's the same
and
shit.
it
It's
does,
just
and it
in a
has the
restaurant.
same impact because, well, even working in restaurants or something like that, it has the same impact on people. They feel like less of a person.
Yeah.
They feel like they're not as good. And it's nice to know that there's people out there who are, kind of getting in the middle and saying, "Hey, you're kind of an asshole for this." you
Right.
know, you don't realize what you're doing.
Right.
When when Bill said he changed his appearance, of course, and everything, did anybody on this panel or even Jan, did you start like your entire life has that kind of been in the back of your head to where you don't want it to happen again? I mean, like you change anything that it was, you worry about it different. If something happens to you, all that flashes back. Let's say you got a black eye or something for some reason, or a bruise on your face, or maybe a cold sore somewhere. Does that start to affect your everyday life? Does it take you back to when that was happening and you do everything you can to cover it up? I guess that's a no. it was awfully quiet because I know a lot of people that go through this. They change their clothes, they change their hair, they change their habits, they change a lot of things. A lot of times it makes them happier, but they do it because they don't want to go back to that dark place.
I understand that. I mean, I have friends that are even today. I mean, Keith, you see me enough. I dress very differently every single day. I'm almost like like I don't know how to explain this better. But like every single time I go out, I'm dressing as if I'm a totally different persona. Like there's some days I go out to the bar wearing a t-shirt like this, and there's some days I go out to the bar wearing a V-neck that goes down to my belly button. Like it
What do you
just depends.
what do
Like
you think the reason is behind that though, that you don't have a
trying to
solo
fit in with
identity?
who I'm going out with.
That's actually the best answer you could have given, that one I even expected. And that's what it is too. So you definitely understand that you want to fit into the groups that you're around.
Yeah.
What
I'm not
about you,
trying to
Bill?
stand out.
Really, basically, sometimes I just followed my own thing. Like some of my friends didn't get into Western wear, and I did. I had one friend of mine. He was made fun of my cowboy boots. He said real people don't wear those, and I looked at him. I said, "What's your definition of real people?" You know. And then he said, "Oh, don't mind me." He says, "I'm high," and he walked away. You know. But
That's
I
the
mean,
majority of people I know.
but but I mean, I try to be. I mean, I try to keep up with. I mean, before I was so distant from the fashions and that in school. I was always out of place. I mean, everybody was wearing bell bottoms before I did. I was always catching the train late. But when I started paying more attention to what was going on when I went to college and that, and seeing how people were dressing and everything, and I tried to adhere to that.
So you kind of went the imitation route of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to keep up with everybody, but at the same time, I didn't want to stand out too much. I didn't want to put a false persona on, but I wanted to at least not look like a peg,
Right. I mean,
stick.
I did things. I was one of those kids that, you know, I didn't have the best hygiene in the world at the time. When I was in elementary school, like middle junior high, I would say, and then it changed that to where I just really wanted to continuously go forth and always try to look my best. Now, mind you, you catch me before I go to work, I look like shit. I don't even give a shit what people say. I'll go out in my boxers. I don't care. But if you catch me whenever I try to make a public appearance, I always try to. That is constantly in the back of my head. And there's been moments like before work where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to shower today. I don't have time. I'm not going to. And in my head, it's like, I flash back to that stuff. I flash back to people picking on me and stuff. I'm like, no, because you don't want to be there. You don't want to hear one person in the background say something or overhear them. And that's what I was meaning by it affects everything in your life. Jan says she's a better person. She'll never forget, but I know no one has the right to bully anybody. And that's very true. But sometimes we don't see that, especially as the bullier. Elena, as you bullied people, did you ever think you were just being funny?
Oh, all the time.
Pretty much my main thing of bullying. I
Absolutely.
always thought I was being funny, and I always believed that people knew that. The people I was bullying, the people that I was harming, knew that I was just like ribbing them in good fun. And sadly, I've learned over time that wasn't the case.
Oh, absolutely.
It was constantly hurting them. And some of them would even, and this is what people miss, when your friends laugh along as you're picking on them, which most of my friends do because I still pick on all my friends, but I do it in a little different way now. But sometimes you're really hurting them. And they're using the laugh to cover it up. Now, when you were the bully, whether it be Bill, Elena, or myself, did you ever use laughter to cover it up?
I did all the time. It's
I,
like, oh,
I
I'm making fun of you, but these guys are laughing about it.
Right.
And these are the cool kids. And they think I'm funny. So what I'm doing is okay. It's not.
Exactly. You justify it that way.
Yeah.
It's exactly
of
what you do.
course.
It's totally okay. I'm making people laugh. And I often did the numbers game too. The whole, well, you know what? I've got 10 people laughing at this and I'm maybe hurting one person, but I think it evens out for the better. 10 people are having fun.
Yeah, exactly. I'm making friends. It's like, no,
But
you're not.
but those 10 people, it's not impacting their life at all.
No.
It didn't change it. But that one person that was being made fun of, sadly enough, bullying can lead to the worst case scenario
Oh, absolutely.
where they just don't want to continue on with life. And you find out too late the impact of those lighthearted jokes had. And it can go both ways. It can be them taking their own life, and as we've seen in the past in the news and stuff, it can be them taking many lives,
Yep.
unfortunately. So you have to be careful on both sides of it, who you're actually doing this to. No matter how often do you see news stories about people who've either committed suicide or committed mass genocide or homicide, and they were the nice person, they lived next door, they were always funny, they were always. How often do you hear that?
all the
It
time.
always happens because they're holding so much rage inside from what happens.
Yeah, I had an incident when I was in high school because I was getting in, like I said, I was getting in a lot of fights. Okay, and I was in the principal's office, and this is what started me seeing a counselor. The words that came out of my mouth. The principal says, "Mr. Pace, you've got to learn to control your emotions." And I looked at him. I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. You tell the next kid that decides he wants to stuff me in the locker, he better control his emotions, or I'm coming to school with a lead pipe."
Yeah, that's
And that landed me with a special counseling.
well, the fear tactic actually works, and that was one of the reasons why I said I was kind of a weird kid, and I did stuff like invoking the devil, and I beat up on teachers and all this other weird shit when I was a kid, because it gave the impression, don't fuck with him, he's insane. And that's partly what I was going for. I wanted you to fear me. I wanted you to think I was Satan himself. Jan also says here, Sheena is her daughter, and she was bullied until her brother and I stepped in. I told her what to do in a nonviolent way. Can you reason with bullies in a nonviolent way? Or will it make you more of a bully?
I feel like it all depends on the person.
Have you encountered something like that?
I mean, once I became one of the ones being bullied, once I made this new friend group, like there had been times, because these are my old friends now, making fun of my new friends. I'd be like,
Right.
hey, like, you need to stop doing that. Sometimes they'd listen because I was still friends with them, and sometimes they wouldn't, but
But
that
you
all
still
just
try to
depended on
step
the,
in.
if I could, yeah.
What about you, Bill? Do you think there was a nonviolent way to deal with your bullies?
No, because essentially what I mean, what I see now is you had two immature people dealing with each other. I was immature in my response. They were immature in their actions. Okay, my response to their actions, I was immature, and there was no, there was only one time. I mean, I asked this kid why he kept shoving me in school, and he said he wanted to kick my ass. I said, after school, you can kick my ass. And I took him out. I met him outside, and it was winter. He had a flimsy jacket on. I held him in that snow till he started turning white, and it started scaring me. Then I let him up. And, I there was no rationalized saying, well, why are you doing this? What, because they don't see it that way. They are proving their dominance. They are in there. Some of them are trying to prove that they are better than you, or some of them don't even like themselves, so they gotta make somebody else meet somebody at the lower on the ladder. It's a combination of things.
Well, that goes to Jan's
Immaturity.
other comment. She thinks that people bully others. They're just insecure about themselves, need to have people notice them. So they pick on people just to be known. And again, it follows through. We mentioned that briefly earlier, that most bullies are unhappy. Most bullies who actually pick on you, and on this, I don't know if this is true, Elena, you would probably be their friend if you weren't bullying them.
Oh, absolutely. That's what happened to me. I stopped bullying people and I became their friend.
Yeah, and they're the kind of person you would. And sometimes
Yeah.
people are jealous of the lifestyle, the money they have, the clothes they get to wear, and they're stuck. Jan, I know, can totally relate to that because that was one of the reasons for her bullying. She mentioned on a previous show. Uh, oh God, I don't know how to say it right, but
Some people
they
are
want a friend.
Yeah.
They
They're
want
bullying you because
somebody.
they're jealous.
Yes. But yet they cannot be reasoned with a lot of times non-violently because they go off into this mode.
Hmm.
And that's what makes it really difficult to talk to them. Because if you're trying to reason with them, then you're seeing who they really are. If you see who they really are, their friends around them will see them as weak. So they put on the mask. They put on the front.
Some people bully because they have bullyism within their own home, you know, and that's what they grow. If you grow up with violence, chances are you're going to be violent, you know. And you know, I mean, that's just one of my little theories. I think, you know.
As true as that kind of is in a lot of situations, I do believe people have more control. They make that choice to follow in footsteps or learn from mistakes they've experienced, even mistakes from others. It's going the same along the lines of like abusive people or abusive parents. You make a choice in your life to be that same person to your child. You can learn from the abuse you received, or you can follow in the footsteps and torture somebody else with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes the bigger person to learn from those mistakes. Jan says, put your hands up and walk away, be better than they are. Not entertaining them gets their goat. That can be very bad too, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that's what you should do, but don't walk away from me. I'm still to this day, do not walk away from me.
I'm like,
Because-
if I'm mad, I'm like that. Like,
Yeah.
do not walk away from me because you don't want to see what's going to happen if you do.
Yeah, exactly what it is, too. And if I'm really angry, the best you can try to tell me that I need to walk away and maybe I'll listen to you, or I need to get away from this, but don't just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my head, you think you won and you're better than me. Fuck you. That's not going to happen. It is a good thing to try with anybody if you are being bullied out there. Jan does bring up a great point, though. Always try the nonviolent approach first, and I'm not even saying you should ever try the violent approach, but try the things. Try to walk away. Try to get away from it, because there are some kids that if they're not getting your goat, they're just going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not letting it impact you. But if they see you cry, if they see you hurt, if they see anything, all right, let's do this.
I feel like that's the reason that a lot of people stopped picking on me. Because I didn't entertain them.
Yeah. It's
like,
no fun
you're
anymore.
making fun of me because my nose is crooked and like I slept with so and so. Like, 2 facts. Good job, you did it.
Right. Exactly. And how do you handle it after that, though? If you try walking away and they follow you, I haven't learned to get past this, because as much as I don't want people walking away from me, I'll walk away from them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'm going to have that last word,
Yeah.
one way or another. That's, as far as fighting, that's one of the big things I do, and I think I picked a lot of that up from the stuff I went through when I was a kid. I'm not going to let the world get the best of me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. And it works really hard when you're with somebody else who's thinking the same damn thing and acting the same damn way. You know? It does. So, Bill, you've tried the nonviolent approach, I'm assuming, but like you said, there was no reasoning with them.
No.
Now, in the midst of the moment, did you ever react in the midst of the moment? Did you ever pretty much show everybody around that you are not going to be bullied anymore?
Yeah, that's why I got in fights.
But I mean, like, at that moment, not that I'll meet you at 3 o'clock by the hill.
No, at the moment, I one time I was getting hit in the music room. All right, and it was this kid hitting this kid, and that kid turned around and hit me. I said, I didn't hit you. He hit you. You know, but it was like a setup. And so I finally got fed up. I dove from the platform and landed on the kid and started laying in, and then they had to pull me off of him. You know.
Now, did that
And,
stop the bullying from that person? Or did it make him more angry?
Actually, he never bothered me anymore. I mean, you know, really. But we both ended up in the office. I walked out of school. I went in the principal's office, ripped off my coat, and said I quit, and walked out. And okay, my parents were notified. and I had to go back to the school and what have you, and we had a little meeting about why Bill doesn't get along with people, and
Now let's talk about the family really quick, though. Everybody's family here. Jan, I know you went through a lot with your family, and you were still bullied at school, and school was a safer place. But we talk about your family life can sometimes impact the fact that you become a bully, or sometimes you get bullied, or something like that. When you finally turned it around and you started to see yourself as better, did you lash out at all to those closest to you because of how much anger you had built up, that it's not just your friends you're not going to allow to push you around anymore? It's nobody. So did it ever, for you, Elena, like your older sister probably,
Oh
or anything
yeah.
like that? So how did that go?
Well, once I became the same size as my older sister, we found out very fastly that I was just built stronger than her.
Okay.
I mean, we're both super tall, but she is built like a string bean, and I'm a little bit more dense than that. So we found out very fast that I could kick her ass. And I literally beat her up one time, and she never messed with me again.
And that was it.
And that
What
was
about
it.
what about with parents or anything like that? Did they ever like fly off the handle at something, and just you have so much rage and anger built up that they got the
My
brunt of it?
dad, yeah, my dad has always been very calm, cool, and collected. If there's ever a problem, he's like the perfect person to talk to. He's really good at talking people down off their emotions. My mom and I would scream and yell at each other all the time, like
So
especially in my teenage years. And I think that goes back to like the middle child syndrome. It's like, well, if she's yelling at me, at least she's talking to me, type of thing.
now you mentioned the middle child syndrome a couple times now, and that your older sister bullied you. Did you bully your younger sister?
I did, but like we still talk about this now. Not to the extreme at all. I remember one time specifically, we were in an argument. I mean, we're girls. We were probably arguing about like a ponytail holder or something stupid like that. We were in an argument, and I pushed her onto her bed. And she started screaming to my mom saying that I was trying to kill her. And I was like, oh, if you only knew the shit I went through with Tori. You would not be saying that right now. You have it so good, girl.
That so you were one of the bullies that did both with your younger. You're like, you learned a little bit, but you weren't just going to let it fly.
Right. Like, I'm not gonna hurt you. Like, I'm not gonna physically injure you, but I'll scare you a little bit.
What about you, Bill? Did it ever impact your immediate family when you started to become a more confident person that you are worth more?
no, I was basically the baby of the family, so there was nobody to bully. And if I bullied my dad, I got my butt kicked. Okay, that's the way it worked. I didn't really give him too much of a hard time because he would only take so much. And I mean, I remember one time he broke a bathroom door trying to get at my butt. I thought locking the bathroom door I was safe. That was a joke.
There is no door in your house that your parents can't break through. I'll agree
Oh
with
yeah.
So, basically, I was a smart ass to my dad sometimes, and he'd let me know it, you know. Other times he would just tell me, go upstairs or stay off of my guitar or whatever. You're not, yeah, he would ground me, take my amp away. But most of the time it was just, I didn't have anybody to bully, and sometimes he didn't understand me. And because he didn't understand, I never told them what was going on at school. For
Okay.
one thing, all right,
So you were angry for reasons he couldn't comprehend because
right?
it
Because
was totally from an outside source.
I
Uh,
never come home and said so and so tried to stuff me in the toilet. You
See,
know,
now I did. I mean, if somebody hurt me, I cried like a little bitch to my mommy because I love my mommy and I was a mama's boy. Like it was like my mom would put me in my place, but my mom was always there for me. So I used that. Jan says she avoided them, the bullies, and they became invisible to me. She never told her parents. Mom was weak. Stepdad had the control of the house, so it really wouldn't matter either way. Uh, Going back to how it affects family, I want to go to a previous show that we had done with you, Bill. and it was about the controlling relationships. Now, do you think that that aspect, you said that you were one of the ones who, for a while, was a controller in the relationships. Do you think bullying had anything to do with that?
It could have been. I mean, because I didn't have control back I lost control more than I had control when I was in high school. All right. I had a temper. I still do have a temper, and I'm trying to work on it. But I mean, I think that it could have been that I wanted control. I wanted to handle the situation and stuff. And sometimes I became, I overexerted my authority, you know, and that may have stemmed from that, wanting to, master the situation. I don't know. That's something you just gave me to think about.
I do that sometimes. My apologies.
I won't be up
But it,
all night because of you.
yeah, I tend to do that too. So as far as like Elena, like I was mentioning with Bill, with that you're engaged right now to a very wonderful man,
Hmm.
which is fantastic. But during the dating scene, did it change how you viewed other people? Did it all like make you stand off? Did you look for certain signs that says, not getting into this?
I mean, not really. I mean, we didn't date very long.
Right, I'm sorry, before him.
Oh,
Yeah, before him. Like, did you come across people that were reminiscent of other people you didn't like in school for reasons we've been talking about?
oh, of
Like,
course.
no, 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 no. You bring back too many memories. Fuck off.
Yeah, you remind me of so and so, so like absolutely not. You could be the nicest person on the planet, but you said this one time, and that's something that like so and so
One
would have
phrase
said.
can do it. One
It,
phrase can do it. It takes you
yeah,
back to that place, and you're like, fuck this. Not going through it. I know where this leads.
yeah. And I
All
had a specific interaction with just like my most recent ex, where he said something, and it was just like it wasn't even directed at me. He made like a derogatory term to like about a group of people, and I was just like, nope, like you're no longer attractive to me. Like that's disgusting.
that was the line.
Absolutely not.
That
Yeah.
was the line. Because we don't always realize, even going through it, how much our lives are impacted by that.
Yeah.
Like everything we do, we think, oh, I'm over it, we're good now. But you're not. You've
But you're
constantly
not.
got this stuff in your background. You're constantly moving on.
Yeah.
And you're comparing a lot of things. And Bill is older than both of us are. You're younger than I am. And it's still impacting all our lives.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't stop. All because some person was being an asshole when they were young.
Yeah.
Because they were pushing us, some of us, into toilets, into lockers, just doing whatever they wanted to do. So, what do you think is the most negative impact it's had on your life, either one of you?
I honest
Self-esteem.
What did you say, Elena, as well?
I was gonna say I feel like for the most part I've had almost positive impacts because I think before I talk now.
I actually believe that too with me, that it was definitely more positive. But I also agree with Bill. Bill, you said self esteem. Explain that.
I've had I still wrestle with it, low self-esteem, but I've learned to understand it more, why I feel the way I do. But even my brother said you have low self-esteem, because when he would talk to me about something, I guess I gave off negative vibes about myself, and oh, nice dog. but I still wrestle with that, because I'm dealing with other issues. But I had to, I had to learn to like myself. I
Do you
had some deep emotional scars that took me quite a long time to get over. You know,
feel that you've achieved liking yourself, or do you feel you've gotten good at masking that you don't?
well, what I think I've got of achieving is recognizing things that I can improve about myself, like not losing my temper, you know, keeping my mouth shut and listening, you know when to talk and when not to, uh,
Yeah.
you know, and look at the other guy. I got problems. But what about the other guy? He may have problems too. You know what?
Empathy is something that I think a lot of people who have been bullied developed, is a very strong ability for empathy once they get out of that mode. Now, sadly, for a lot of bullies, and we don't have them on here that follow that, they don't get out of that mode, and that leads to the abusive relationships, the abusive families, because they never get out of that bully mode.
Hmm.
But you can, if you just realize the people you're hurting and how different it's going to be for their life in the long run. Jan says, "Oh, how do I say this?" and then follows by saying it. I have been in an abusive relationship more in the control sense. It took a long time for me to finally get the balls to walk away from the last relationship because that's all I could do. And that's what we were talking about. And that probably stemmed a lot from bullying. Some people see bullying as a way of life when they get older. If they're picked on early on, they're going to be walked on their entire life. They don't get those moments to get the balls that Jan got over here to walk away. They get more and more hurt. And the worst thing about that is not that they're that person, because the right person could change them, but it's because the wrong person will take advantage of them. They will see that there are people out there that prey on people they can control. They've lived being a bully their whole life. If you see signs of that in any relationship early on, and if you're tired of it, and let's face it, who isn't tired of it, whether we suppress it deep inside or not? Who's not tired of feeling like less of a person? You're not less of a person. You're just as good as anybody else out there, and you're more of a person than a person who would make you feel that way. So you said, I agree with you with the self-esteem thing. I developed a lot of self-esteem issues when you were talking about that, Bill, and now I'm just think I'm perfect in every fucking way, and it's because I am.
It's because you
You
are.
know, I learned one of the things I learned that's also impacted everybody else around me. No matter what, any aspect of you can be great. Fat can be beautiful. You know, smart can be engaging. A little mole on somebody's face. Well, you know what? If you like that person, it's going to become the most beautiful feature you've ever seen. Doesn't matter what it is. And I learned that. I learned to see beyond all that stuff a lot. But yet I have a hard time reflecting to myself because I always have some of those back things. So I just cover it up halfway with I'm perfect in every way. Uh, which anybody that knows me knows I'm not. Knows I don't think, well, no, they usually think I am. But they know that I don't truly believe that. It's said in a fun way because you can't bring me down anymore.
Hmm.
And I'm saying that to a lot of the people out there who are currently being bullied and going through the situation or got out of it and letting people still walk all over them. You have to get strong enough to say, you can't bring me down anymore. I'm worth more because you're the person you have to live with for your entire life. Nobody else. People who love you will see you for what you are and who you are. And I don't care if you're the most beautiful person in the world, if you're one of those bullies, you're an ugly asshole. Bill, obviously, Jan, Bill helps me and I help him. Friends are important. Having those friends, having those things in common are very important. And if your friends are making you feel low, I don't care how good of friends they are, you just get rid of them. I had a friend on here, his name was John, and when I first started this podcast or broadcast, he was one of the people that came up to me, and I was joking, and we were having a party, about maybe 6 people, not a huge party, and he just like preemptively told me how I was going to make fun of him. And this was very recent. And that hit me really hard because you don't realize how much you're impacting somebody. This person, this guy genuinely thought I was a great person, wanted to be my friend, would do almost anything for me, bragged about me, talked about me to everybody. And every time I'd see him, I would be my jolly self that most people were cool with, but he was not. And I would just make fun of him. So I still to this day have these moments. I part of my job is literally bullying people, like in karaoke. It's and trivia primarily. It's making fun of people, but knowing the right person to do it to, and realize it's not always a good thing. If you're going to be that person, make sure they know how much you're joking with them.
Hmm.
And make sure you check to see, pull them aside one time and say, does that really bother you? You know, I'm just joking. I think you're amazing. Take time to tell them how amazing they are, too, so they have something to say. I know how he really feels about me. So I think that's really important to do. And last but not least, because we're about an hour right now, so positive impacts. Elena, you said it was very positive. You learned to listen more. You learned to pay attention to people, and you became a better person for everybody around you. It's a ripple effect with you. Because if somebody else is doing it, maybe they're going to learn a thing or two from your reaction. Any other positive aspects come out of that?
I mean, I really just think that it's mostly I think before I talk, before I say anything about a person. I mean, for the most part, I try to, whereas before I wasn't doing that. And I feel like I don't know, I just feel like I've learned so much from it. I'm sad that I had to be the bully to realize that, like how much your words can affect someone, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a better person now
You made
because
the right choice with what you learned. I mean, that's
yeah.
what's that's where people have to find. They have to find that within themselves to make the right choice and not follow the path.
Yeah.
Bill, any positive thoughts?
Well, I learned one thing, don't judge a book by its cover. A lot of people, they look at the cover of the book, they don't read the rest of the story. And there's a lot to people on the inside, a lot more to people on the inside than there is on the outside. And, if you don't look into that person, you miss out a lot. And I've learned to, learn to understand people, not just look at them for face value. Uh, you know, Find out why they believe what they believe. Find out, show interest in the person.
Yes.
Don't just, walk away from 'em just because of their looks or whatever. Uh, just look at what's inside. I've learned to do that. Look at people. Look past the outside because I had it done to me. It was not nice. I was,
Those are great.
and I had
Yeah.
to reflect on that.
Those are great words of advice. It's something everybody should be listening to and paying attention to because that's true. Learn to look inside, not just on the outside. It hurts. It's painful. It can last a lifetime. It can make people do the worst things possible. It can spread as well because if you are a bullier and you mix it into your family, the odds are, as said earlier by Bill, your family's going to carry that trait too if they make the wrong decision. So you're not just doing it to one person, you're not that one person. You're doing it to multiple people and you're making bullying a bigger problem than it is. For those being bullied, your life doesn't end here. Find the strength, be stronger, try to hang around people that can bring the positive aspects out of you. It's the most important thing you can do in your life to have a happy life and a happy existence. And then look at your friends that actually do genuinely like you and figure out what they like about you. Once you figure that out, maybe you can start liking that about yourself as well. Because you're a great person no matter who you are. And then you can grow up stronger and you can eliminate all the assholes in your life. Learn the positives. Learn that life gets better. If it doesn't get better, move yourself to a different situation that you can improve it on. Don't hang around those people. Sadly, a lot of people who bully don't realize what they're doing to others. And some of those other people can't be here to talk because they're no longer with us. Your comedic moment can result in the loss of life for an individual. You looking cool can mean a family no longer has their son or daughter. It's not worth it at all. Don't be the bully. If you are bullied, be the bigger person. Walk away. If you can't walk away, find other people that can make it not happen anymore. Or find other people that are going to energize you in a positive manner. Bullying is a huge problem and it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but it can start. and it can't start until you make the move to let it happen. Today's episode has been, of course, the bully impact. In case you missed it, we were talking about bullying and the impact it has on everybody else. And as you've heard from our panel, some of us get through of it, some of us don't. Some of us lock it away and hide it. Some of us channel it into other energy or behind a mask. But we've been there. And if you need somebody to talk to, always do that. Always find somebody. Because if you just live in your room alone or your house alone and you never go see anybody because you feel you're worthless, it's only because nobody's pointed it out. You're worth a hell of a lot. Next, or coming up on Sunday, is our open forum topic show. That's where we talk about absolutely anything, including current events going on, stuff we may be going through at the time, or just bullshit back and forth. But we are willing to talk with you about absolutely anything. So if you're dealing with any problem, no matter how deep on Sundays, please just bring it to us. We'll talk about it with you. We are there for you, whether you want to do it for chat or you want to call in like Bill here did. We're there for you on that. There is not going to be a show next week. Is next Wednesday. It's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Due to my job, of course, I cannot be here for a show. Because, yeah, they like me early on St. Patrick's Day. Go figure. Like, on there. But that following week on the 24th, we're going to do the autistic fight. It's all about autism. We should have some people from the autism groups on here, as well as people with autistic children, and maybe even some of the autistic people themselves, to talk about their experience, what they've been through. Autism is a huge, huge issue. People bring awareness to it all the time with fundraisers, but what does it really mean for the people dealing with it? And we're going to talk with them coming up on the 24th. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, follow, to all those good things. I've already said them before. I don't have to say it again. And don't forget that Your Shoulder Voice, you can chat anytime through Facebook Messenger. If you go through our website, you can do it anonymously, or you can go to the Your Shoulder Voice page and just message us. One of us, if available, and typically somebody is, we will talk to you about anything if you just need somebody to talk to. We don't care how deep it is. Of course, if you're dealing with any kind of life-threatening situation, please seek a better support avenue for that, because we're not qualified to do that, but we are qualified to give you a friend, and that's what we're here for. Elena, absolutely wonderful having you on here.
Thank you for having me.
It's very important to see, or to have you on here and to see somebody who's experienced both sides of the coin, and you have. I have too. I didn't go as deep into what I've experienced because, well, it's about everybody else. But definitely, it's good to see both sides, because you did take that learning situation. You did do what a lot of people, I wish a lot more people would do, is learn. Mm-hmm. Whether you're the bullier or the bully, or the bullied, learn. Life will get better. Bill, God, your life is a wreck. Every time every time I found out, it's not all your fault, but every time I find out more stuff that you've gone through, and we learn more how it's impacted you. But what the best thing is that you're on here talking about it to help other people, and to show that, I mean, I don't know how old you are, Bill, I'm not going to ask, but you can live life, you can get through it, you know, and you will continue to go on, and eventually you're going to be there, and what you're talking about is a past memory, and you are a great inspiration for that, to show that you're still here, and you can be a really great person regardless of what other assholes do to you. I appreciate that, Bill, a lot, more than you know. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, I always do. I love that you call in when you do, because sometimes you call in, I'm like, what's Bill got to say? We already got with his problems. Like, oh, Bill has more problems. Okay, so let's talk.
You're making me laugh, bud.
But it helps other people, because most people feel like they're alone. They don't think people understand, and the truth is we really do, and there's a lot more people to understand out there. So thank you both for being here. I am Keith Litford for Ear Soldier Voice. Please join us again on Sunday for our open forum, and then the following Sunday for another open forum before back to our topic show on autism on the 24th. You guys all have a great night. Thank you again for being here. Peace out.
Thanks for having us, Keith.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Hey guys, Keith Lippin here for Ear, Shoulder, Voice. While you're here, why don't you like, share, subscribe, and follow so you can be notified of all our new broadcasts that we're bringing to you live every week and live chat during the show. You can also head on over to www.earshouldervoice.com, find out more information, suggest topics you'd like to see our panel discuss, and even apply to be a guest panelist yourself. Well, I didn't have to be nervous.
No, that wasn't bad.
I actually think that went well. How was it for you in your first show?
It was like not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be.
It's a more relaxed environment. People don't always, understand that it's just
Yeah.
see them as friends. I mean, I was nervous because we had a cancellation on us. We were supposed to have Ashley on here. Unfortunately, Lewis is going through something. Who's her fiance right now, and
Yeah, I've met them.
I just want to give a shout out to Lewis out there. We're behind you. I know what you're going through. So, prayers for you, Lewis. Your friends are always around you. All right. And we miss you, Ashley, and we miss you, Lewis, too. So, they'll be on another one. But, Elena, you came through.
I tried my best.
You were here. I don't even know. I don't even know if I could have pulled it off. If it was me in the same situation, like, yeah, you're our new one, and you are alone. I was like,
Well, I couldn't cancel. It was just you.
I know that's what it would have been,
Not
and
like
I
that was an option.
it hasn't happened yet, but I have a feeling there's going to be one of these shows coming up. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to lose my panelists last minute. It's just going to be like, so, yeah. Today's topic is about the pains of pregnancy. And I don't know what to tell you on that one because
I heard it sucks.
I know it gives you headaches and there's a lot of screaming.
I was once on the other side of that as a baby, so.
Yeah, so I remember that. I know that it was really hard to squeeze through that tight space. I remember that.
Yeah.
I asked a lady one time what it was like to have a baby. And it really hit a note with me because she said it was like trying to pass a watermelon. And I started picturing that. Yeah, I guess that would be kind of painful.
A wise woman once told me it was equivalent to shitting a rocking chair.
Damn. Okay, now that one sounds painful for sure.
My grandma actually said that while my mother was in labor.
Hey, Michael. Yep, it was me. Just saying hi there. I just want to put it on there real quick. And Jan, I didn't get your last comment. I meant to, so I never bullied anyone because that hurt you and still on them can last a lifetime. And I didn't even bring that up, but that's really true. A lot of people who bully can stick with them for life, and they regret it so much what they did. And I still do. There's still a lot of people I feel that way on. It's very true. But anyway, hi, Michael. Aside from that. So yeah, I'm happy. Bill, I'm so glad you popped on too. Because it was going to be me and Elena.
Yeah.
I pop on when I have something to say, otherwise I just sit back and listen,
Which you're always welcome to. I mean, we love that. We love having you. And I know pretty much you have something to say. I just usually can't imagine you have something to say because I've heard so much other stuff. And then you do.
Well, like I won't be able to talk about autism because I never had anybody in my family that had it, So
there's going to be a few that won't be able to, but hopefully it's going to let people know what others go through because some people don't get it. And the problem, like with autism, because we're going to be bringing it up, is there's so many high-functioning autistic people out there that people fail to see the nonverbals and the violent ones, and they don't realize that autism is such a broad spectrum.
And I feel like that's something that right now other people are starting to learn because more people are talking about it like, oh, I'm just super high functioning.
Yeah.
Well, what opened my eyes to it was a movie with Dustin Hoffman, The Rain Man. I think it was called The Rain Man.
Yeah, it was Rain Man.
And that's when I first became acquainted with autism. Before that, I didn't even know what autism was.
82.
Yeah, so that's when I first became acquainted with it. But I don't know anybody that has an autistic child, so I'm not familiar with all the. I'm sure there's a lot of problems, because when anybody that has a child that has an emotional or mental or physical disability, they have obstacles they have to face and that with their child they have to deal with, and sometimes it can be pretty stressful.
Yeah, it can be really stressful for them, and people just don't realize it because Just like what everybody else is going through sometimes with the bullying or anything, you don't see that side of them when you're out in public. They hide it. They put on a face. The truth is, a lot of times, I said it on the show before, I'll say it again, you see somebody, smiling all the time, ask them if there's anything wrong. Ask if they're okay. Because there's probably a lot of stuff behind it that they're just not sharing with you. And you got to remember to do that. You really do. But yeah, I thought this turned out really well. I thought it was a really nice, close conversation. I enjoyed everything. Elena, you're amazing.
I'm
You
excited to
came
come
through.
back on Sunday.
Yeah, I thought, oh yeah, you're going to be on Sunday's open forum. That'll
I
be
think
awesome. I
so.
had thought for a second, like, I was worried. I'm like, oh God, because when Ashley canceled, I'm like, well, Elena's not going to do it if nobody else is there. And I
I
was like,
couldn't
think.
cancel if there was not, like, I wouldn't leave you hanging like that.
And then I got a message from you, and I didn't see the message. I just saw it was from you. I'm like, oh fuck, this is
And I
it.
was
This
like,
is her
it'll be
saying she ain't
fine.
gonna make it.